Welcome to the Gravity Well podcast with me, Jenny Araby. I host the Gravity Well to celebrate and share the stories of the people empowering others with knowledge, skills, and plans required to reestablish stability in our communities. Your mission is to work through these heavy issues with me in order to lighten the load. I acknowledge that I live on the traditional territories of Treaty 7 and Métis Districts 5 and 6. The treaties and self-governance agreements established by Indigenous peoples were created to honor the laws of the land, maintain balance with nature, and give back to uphold reciprocal relationships. This knowledge and intention are what guide the Gravity Well conversations. I ask for genuine dialogue, real hearts, and openness to different perspectives. This is your invitation to find common ground with me. Positions taken by participants, either individually or collectively, do not necessarily represent those of the Gravity Well. This podcast is dedicated to the natural world, our children, nieces, nephews, grandchildren, and all future generations. The Gravity Well is on YouTube, Substack, and streaming wherever you get your podcasts. If you like what you see and hear, remember to like and subscribe. Welcome to the studio. I'm really excited to have Chris Cashen and Vipond in the studio today. We are going to be talking about solar, rooftop solar, patio solar. Chris has an example in the background for us to talk about. Let's start with why we're talking. Chris, if you would start, please, just a proper introduction of yourself and what we're talking about today.
Yeah, so I'm the CEO and co-founder of Volta Home. So we're a Vancouver-based startup building the first compliant plug-in solar solution for North America. And yeah, we've been working on the project for about a year now and just wrapped up our lab validation here in BC with a utility partner and Powertech Labs. So looking towards field deployments as our next step.
Excellent. Very simple connection type effort to get something going off the ground for a technology that is meant to be accessible to many people. So I'm really excited to hear more about this today. Joe, thank you for joining us from work at the hospital here. Could you please weigh in on your role in this, please, what you're doing on the policy side, perhaps?
Yeah, I'm Dr. Joe Vipond. I'm from the Calgary Climate Hub, and we're a local charity that works on empowering Calgarians in order to make climate solutions. And so we have an electricity group that wants to improve things. And we started hearing about balcony solar happening in Europe. And we thought to ourselves, well, this is something that we really need here in Canada. So the idea being that the general population, unless you're a homeowner, you can't participate in this energy transition. If you're a renter, if you're a condo owner, if you for some reason have a roof that's not amenable to rooftop solar, and this is a really simple way to be a part of that. So just by plugging in, you can offset about a third of your electricity use, which is really important, I think, in these times.
Yeah, absolutely. I was noting before we started that there are places that are really trying to move forward this legislation right now, places like England, because of the shortage of energy that's come out of this war in Iran. So it's a really good time to be talking about this technology. Chris, can you tell us a little bit about the work you've been doing to bring this technology around, or who are the decision makers in this? How can we help this technology get out for the masses, let's say?
Yeah, so there's various stakeholders involved, from safety and compliance to the utilities to homeowners associations to city authorities and municipalities. Electricity kind of touches every aspect, even the fire department gets involved. So yeah, where we started really was kind of more at the top level, knowing that these systems have to export power to the grid and that there's going to be some level of safety certification needed, a new standard created basically to allow this technology to exist. Obviously, rooftop solar has a very well-defined set of codes and rules that apply to it, what you can and can't do, what's required. So we set out to work from an early stage with Underwriters Laboratory, and then also engaged CSA, another standards body, to see where this was on their radar. And work more closely with UL because it wasn't quite on the track record of CSA yet. We filed or participated in a motion of intent to harmonize a new standard, UL 3700, to harmonize it across North America so that all manufacturers could build to one standard, which really helps drive down the cost of a product that you're now building, one product from much larger market than a product that could have fragmentation across multiple jurisdictions. After working on that, we started to set out to work with at least our local utility provider here to see what their take on it would be. That can we export power to the grid and help homeowners be compensated because they may not be home or have the privilege to work from home and use that power during the day. So it would be great if when they return home, they could have some sort of a credit for the export generator. So that was our next step, to engage with them and validate what the product would do at scale, because to Joe's point, the technology did explode in Europe. There's millions of systems deployed. So it becomes something from a small thing you take home to something that has added close to utility scale power in a very short amount of time. So it's something that's could be incredibly advantageous to the utilities to help deploy rather than stand in front of it.
Yeah, it is such an exciting moment to see this technology moving to something so simple and so accessible, so widespread for any type of homeowner, renter, whatever. Joe, please, can you expand on that a little bit about what the Calgary Climate Hub is doing to help move this along?
To be clear, anybody can put on this plug-in solar right now. The problem is it's too expensive, right? So if you buy a solar panel and you attach a microinverter, you can plug it into your wall, but it would be illegal because by current legislation, you need an interconnection permit and you need an electrician to put in that install. These systems probably are going to end up costing around $800 to $1,600. The interconnection permit is a minimum in Alberta of $4,000, and then there'd be the electrician cost on top of that, which I don't know, presumably be about $1,000. So why would you do that? It's insane. So what we're trying to do is get the legislation adjusted to remove the need for that, and also to put in some other simple things to make sure that it's safe, that all systems comply with some kind of standard like the UL 3700 that Chris has stated. Also, that people would have the right to install. So sometimes you're in a situation where there's a landlord or a tenants association or a condo board that has oversight over the property. Unless they have a really, really good reason for you not to install, there should be a right to install, right to generate in these systems. And finally, because this is a new technology, everybody's a little bit worried about anything that's new. So there's a release of liability for any of those entities, including utilities, so that they wouldn't be responsible for any outcomes. But to be clear, just to go back to Europe for a moment, there's over 4 million systems installed at this time. And really, there's never been a solar-related incident of a safety incident. There has been one fire associated with a battery system, and we're not even talking about batteries here at this point. So, and just remember that there's been lots of other fires associated with other types of batteries like e-cigarettes and laptops and other kind of systems. So these are very, very safe, but just to make sure that everybody's feeling very complacent and excited rather than nervous about these, that liability exemption exists.
Yeah, I listened to your conversation and I encourage others to with Markham Hislop about this and the fact that there is an interconnection expectation of generators to tie in to be able to use this technology, and that you need an electrician to install it. So those are barriers right now that we're hoping to address. Is that right?
Well, nobody anticipated this, right? When these microgeneration regulations were put in place, they were put in place specifically for these larger systems that are going on roofs. Nobody even thought about the fact that you might have an 800 or 1200 watt system. And so, because they weren't anticipating this, it's not that anybody's at fault. It's just we have to catch up with the times.
Right. Yes. This is what I find so interesting about the direction we're headed is this dispersive power. So everything is just getting simpler and smaller scale. It's pretty remarkable to see this transition coming along. Okay. So where are we headed? What is the next steps for you guys? Chris, if you would start, please.
Yeah. In terms of a certification, the outline of investigation exists now as it is. It would likely have a technical committee formed later, close to Christmas or late fall, maybe early winter of this year. That is a group of stakeholders, maybe the manufacturers, suppliers, utilities, even homeowners, that are assembled to review the safety standard as it is and decide if it's agreeable or if there needs to be changes made to it. And then it goes to a vote. And then likely maybe middle of next year, it could be entered as the official standard that's accepted across North America. And then kind of work that would still need to be done, to Joe's point, is this now makes it an approved solar system with a prescribed method of connecting via a non-qualified person. So a homeowner is the intended purpose of this safety outline and to be standard. And yeah, we still need utilities or provincial or federal legislation to create this nano generation policy that says, if manufacturers like us follow these safety standards and create this product, that homeowners may follow a patterns much like Germany, where Germany said if this system size is under 600 watts and then they've increased it to 800 watts, you simply have to go on a portal and we request that you just basically fill out your address and to notify us. And that was really the accelerator in Germany that you saw that broke down the barrier of just telling them that you have a system, and then you can find them on the stores and supermarkets, IKEA, or online. So I think that's the next steps that really need to happen. The safety standard, first of all, and then the legislative piece.
It reminds me of those days where big screen TVs were like, when they came on the shelves, that people would be getting after them. This is what I'm picturing, is people running to the local hardware store to pick up their stack of solar panels, just like a TV. It should be that simple that they're just plugging it in and going.
Yeah, so let's be clear. This is going to happen, right? It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer for homeowners who get a payback somewhere between 3 and 10 years, depending on your system and your electricity costs. It's a no-brainer for utilities because they now have increasing grid demands, and this is an easy way to decrease the amount of electricity that's required. And so it's going to make their life easier. And it's a no-brainer for governments because this is just red tape reduction, right? This is removing barriers, and a lot of the people like Utah, a lot of jurisdictions like Utah, that's their values is allowing people to have that freedom. So I'm quite confident this is going to happen, but we can make it go faster and we can make it go easier if citizens tell their elected representatives that this is important. So we have this campaign. There's a website, pluginsolarpower.ca is the official website, and people can send letters to their councillors, to their provincial ministers that are involved with this, and even to our federal people who representatives who can apply pressure that this is something that everybody deserves. We need to remove the barriers, and we can do this safely. So that's what we're trying to do, is get that groundswell of excitement, because there are a lot of people out there that want access to this kind of production of electricity.
Yeah, wonderful. I found it. So it is pluginsolarpower.ca. I can see we can sign a petition and help support this effort. Get our legislators understanding that we are anxious to be a part of this very simple and very like you said, a really great opportunity to reduce our costs in electricity at a time when we are seeing more pressure on the system from the powers that be. Chris, any other things that we can take action in doing to help support this effort from your view?
I think supporting the efforts through Plug-in Solar Power Canada, and then just keeping that as like a central knowledge repository and point of action, the tip of the spear, so to speak.
Kind of in this chicken and egg scenario, right, Chris, where the people like you need the standard needs the legislation in order to want it, and all three pieces need to line up so that we can get these in Canadian Tire and other vendors.
Yeah, I mean, we've been fortunate enough that we've had a lot of local support here in BC to move forward with the technology and support on testing and validating, but that's one province, and yeah, it would be great to see some sort of a federal policy created. That's what we've seen happen in other countries, Germany, the UK, that have all at the federal level introduced a policy for plug and source, right? The model exists. It's just, is someone in the federal government willing to act?
Yeah, that's a great catch as well. Yes, to get this from a federal level, because I think there are many models to follow. As you said, Germany's done this. England is now doing it. There's lots of countries to look to know that this is something that is simple and obvious and something to embrace. Yeah, and I'll be sure to include Volta Home in the tagline for this as well, so folks can, if anybody's interested in supporting your work, Chris, they can do that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, spread the word, because really this is really going to be about citizens getting excited about this, getting their politicians excited about this. Awesome, thank you, and thank you for everything you do, Joe. It's a pleasure to work with you on all of these things that we're trying to do to move us forward. Much appreciated. We'll see you on Monday in Calgary for our next event. I wish I was there. I will plug it with this as well. I'm actually going to Edmonton for an Indigenous forum I'm really excited about. So yeah, thank you though. I'm sorry to miss it. I know it is something I wish I could attend, but yeah, thank you so much. Take care for now, guys. Okay, take care. Bye.